Oh boy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy. I'm back. The Be Great Podcast, episode 18. Guys, we got to get right into it because, I was sitting on Saturday, I was sitting down and I was, watching college football. And the only thought that was coming through my mind, into my brain, the only thought I had the entire day was one thing. Was one thing. And that one thing was, boy, do I know ball or what? I mean, I got to tell you, I had such an accurate weekend. I had such a great read on the weekend. Other than one game, I missed one game in the pick'ems, and that one game went to overtime, so I can deal with that. And I am happy that the team that won ended up winning, but we'll get to that. But first, what I want to get to, and excuse me if I start laughing as I talk about this failure of a program, but first, I want to talk about the biggest game of the weekend, and that was Ohio State at Oregon. It's so interesting, isn't it? What do you hear all week? All week, you hear people loving on Ohio State. All of a sudden, Will Howard's the conqueror of conquerors. He's the best quarterback to ever exist ever in time. I heard one guy who isn't an Ohio State fan on a podcast say Will Howard's going to hunt some duck this weekend. Will Howard's going to show you how good he is, Kansas State. You're going to regret getting rid of him. That's all I heard. All week, I heard the love for Ohio State, the doubt to Oregon. That's all I heard. And it made me even more confident in my prediction. Because where is, I know where the doubt about Oregon is coming from, but where is the confidence in Ohio State coming from? Where? Because they've beaten a bunch of nobodies? Because you see, this is what happens. It happened to Georgia last year when they ran through their regular season schedule and then went up against Alabama in the SEC championship. What happened then happened to Ohio State on Saturday. You play such a weak and soft schedule that when you finally face a team worth their salt, you crumble and you fold. That is what happens. When you go and you have a streak of Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall, and then you finally get into conference play, but one of them is Iowa, who can't score. And I'm forgetting about what the other one was. Michigan State. And the other one is Michigan State, who also cannot score. And so people come in with this, they think, oh my gosh, the Ohio State defense, it's so dominant. No, because you haven't played an offense worth a crap. You haven't played a quarterback that has a brain that can complete a slant. And then what happens? You come across Oregon, and the same problems that have plagued Ohio State since Ryan Day took over this team is plaguing them once again because he doesn't learn and he doesn't improve. He doesn't. He doesn't develop into a better head coach as the years go on. The problems stay the same, whether he has Chip Kelly, whether he doesn't have Chip Kelly. His decision making is garbage, specifically in big games. His time management, garbage, specifically in big games. His defense, garbage, especially in big games. His quarterbacks, dumb decision making, especially in big games, except for CJ Stroud against Georgia in the playoff game. Ryan Day, there's a saying with Ryan Day. He was born on third base. And it's true, he was born on third base. And he's way closer to first base than he is to going home. He has gone backwards with this program. Ohio State is probably the most talented team in the country. And he can't win. a big game at Eugene, Oregon, against an Oregon team who is talented, but not as talented as your team. A coach in Dan Lanning who lost to Washington twice last year, and he just annihilated you coaching wise, specifically in the fourth quarter. It is the same problems. Ohio State had the ball with a chance to win, and what happens? Didn't it give you eerily similar vibes to the end of the Georgia Ohio State game? Wasn't it eerily similar? Ohio State has the ball, chance to win. What did Ryan Day do? What plays did he call in the Georgia game? He, for some reason, kept wanting to. Was it passing the ball? He kept wanting to pass the ball and made his kicker kick a long field goal. He was set with his kicker kicking a really long field goal in a high pressure situation, and we know what happened. And then last night, what happens? You get downfield, you get an OPI on Jeremiah Smith, and it was an OPI. I don't care. I know Ohio State fans love to complain about penalties. That's all they care about. That's all they cry about is penalties, but there was an OPI. I don't think anyone's complaining about that, but just in case they are, it was clearly an OPI. And you get pushed back. It's too long for a field goal in that spot. So you just need a few yards. You're telling me either Will Howard is dumb or Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, whoever, isn't calling a play for just a 5-yard out route, a 10-yard out route, just to make the kick more manageable? But no, instead you have Dan Lanning getting 12 men on the field in a genius play so you can run off 4 seconds. And it's only a 5-yard penalty. Who cares? 5 extra yards. It's still a long kick. And then you have this play where either I don't know what Will Howard was thinking. And he runs up the middle like Dak Prescott against the Niners in the playoffs. And he runs up the middle and then slides with 1 second left and the game's over. It was such a Ryan Day-esque loss. Such an Ohio State-esque loss. And I've said it about this team 1,000 times. They get the same notoriety, the same love, the same benefit of the doubt, the same brand recognition as Alabama, yet they don't have nearly the amount of accolades, especially recently. Ryan Day is a joke of a head coach. He can't win a big game. People want to say Kirby Smart can't beat Alabama. This is true. But Kirby Smart can win all the other big games. He just can't beat Alabama. Ryan Day can't win a big game, period. How are you supposed to have faith in Ohio State come the Big Ten championship against Oregon or come playoff time? If they make the playoffs, how can you expect Ryan Day to even make it to the national championship if he can't win a big game against a competent opponent? It's ridiculous. But it's exactly what I told you was going to happen. And I still fully expect Ohio State to beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship. But I told you Ohio State was playing nothing. They were playing nobody, and it was going to bite them in the butt, and you saw it on Saturday. Just like I continued to tell you about this fraudulent Tennessee team who people wanted to get praise Nico. He's the Heisman Trophy candidate. Their offense is generationally good because they scored 60 by halftime on Check's Notes, Kent State. Because they dropped a bomb on NC State. Guess what? Just like Clemson did the same thing to them. Wake Forest beat NC State. And then what happens? They faced an opponent with a pulse in Oklahoma, and they crumbled they couldn't score in the second half against Oklahoma. They couldn't score against Arkansas. They couldn't score against Florida until near the end of the game where they squeaked out a victory at home against a garbage Florida team. Ole Miss, also a team that played a bunch of nobodies. Everyone was so hype about them, and then they lose to Kentucky. And now they go into OT against LSU when they had the lead for the entire game and they lost. Did you know? Can anyone in the class tell me how many seconds of that game did LSU lead? Anyone like to answer? I'll give you a hint. The answer is less than one. LSU led for 0 seconds. 0 seconds. Because the only time they had the lead was when they kicked the field goal to win. Lane Kiffin, I think he's going to be the next head coach of Florida, personally. Lane Kiffin is somebody, he's very James Franklin. He's very James Franklin. Although honestly, now he's turning into worse than James Franklin. He's kind of turning into Lincoln Riley at this point, where he's getting all the hype with no results. And he's losing to teams that he shouldn't be losing to. LSU less so. LSU's a talented team. I'm specifically talking about the Kentucky game, but the LSU one just compounds on it and makes it worse, especially since you were leading the entire time. I mean, Alabama shouldn't have won. They did. They managed to squeak it out. I don't know what Lenoris Sellers is doing, bombing it to the end zone. There was no need to do that. There was no need. It wasn't fourth down. All you needed was a field goal, and you were at midfield. Why are you throwing a deep ball into double coverage to the goal line? Why? Why? There's no point in that. But I digress. I once again picked a Colorado game right. Lost to Kansas State. I can give them credit for keeping it close, especially since Travis Hunter did not play in a portion of that game. Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. will be back against Arizona. I'll make those picks on Friday. Florida State still sucks. Grass is green. And there's a big game, another big game for Georgia this weekend. Georgia, Texas. As far as the Georgia Mississippi State game is concerned, here's what I'll say. Kirby, after the Auburn game, he had, I don't know if it was an interview or what he was on, and he said that he was disappointed in the fans for not showing up more and being louder at the Auburn game. So we showed up for the Mississippi State game, and we were loud. But I just have a very simple question. Kirby, you can question the fans about showing up, being loud. Are we allowed to question you about why this team hasn't shown up all year? For 4 quarters? They show up for a quarter, maybe a half, 3 quarters if we're lucky, but certainly not all 4. And against Mississippi State, the offense, we actually had 27 points by halftime, which is an improvement. It still didn't look great, but it's an improvement. And then the defense absolutely collapses in the second half. Now, part of that is there were some second and third stringers in because that game was comfortable at a point, and then Mississippi State started coming back. But you should not be okay, maybe I shouldn't say barely. You should not be beating Mississippi State by only 10. That should not happen. Mississippi State, gosh, I can't even talk. Mississippi State is the worst team in the SEC. Because it's certainly not Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is America's team. They might be the best team in the country. I'm kidding. Kind of. Because I'm going to tell you what. If Kirby and Georgia lose to Texas on Saturday, and I'll say maybe depending on how it looks, right? Like if Texas wins on a game-winning field goal, it is what it is. But if Kirby Smart in Georgia loses to Texas on Saturday by 10 or more points, actually no, by more than a touchdown, so 8 or more, then I will be coming on here next week on Tuesday, and you will hear me say that this Georgia team is not winning the national championship. Because the reality is, this is a Kirby Smart moment. I have watched this team every single game since Kirby Smart has been here. This is one of those games where everyone thinks Texas is going to win. Everyone's high on Texas. Texas is now the number one team. They're getting all this praise, and Georgia comes out and stomps a mud hole in them. I've seen it time and time again. So if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to tell you straight up because I'm an honest guy. Do I have my biases? Of course I do. I love Georgia, but I am an honest person. Unlike others, I love my team. I'm loyal to my team. I will never, and I've always been honest about this, I will probably never pick Georgia to lose because I love my team. But I'm always honest. And I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't understand why we have a secondary full of bums that are playing football for us. I'm out here seeing Dalen Everett get burnt every game. I'm seeing, is it AJ Harris, Gabe Harris? It's his last name's Harris. He's number 7. He gets burnt every game. Terrible eye control. His eyes are constantly in the backfield. Julian Humphrey is probably our best corner right now. He should be on the field at all times, in my opinion, and even he gets burnt sometimes. Malachi has games where he's literally unstoppable, and then he has games where I forget he's on the field. And that's what happened against Mississippi State. Malachi should be dominating against Mississippi State. I forget he's on the field. Our linebackers, I forget they're on the field all the time. Our defensive line actually played well. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins has developed incredibly well. He has been our best, I think one of our best players on defense all season. Chaz Chambliss had a good game against Mississippi State. I don't understand why Ellis Robinson IV isn't getting more playtime at corner. I think he needs to. I certainly think he needs to get more playtime at corner. He looks fluid and he looks better than the others. Where KJ Bolden's playing, why are we not playing Ellis Robinson? And KJ Bolden's been solid. He got his first interception against Mississippi State. Good for him. I think he's going to develop nicely. Offensively, yeah, Carson had 2 picks. One of them was not his fault. It was bad at the line. Is what it is. It happens. Arian Smith, if he drops another pass, I'm probably going to go into cardiac arrest. Dominic Lovett is invisible for 90% of the game, and then he'll make 3 good plays. Dylan Bell is probably our best receiver. London Humphrey does stuff sometimes. Oscar Delp's been invisible all season. He actually did something against Mississippi State. Lawson Lucky's our best tight end. Our offensive line actually played extremely well against Mississippi State, finally. I'm happy we were able to score 41. I'm happy that our offense for, I'd say, probably 3 quarters played very, very well. But the reality is against Texas, as it currently stands, we're going to have to outscore them. It's not going to be something where, oh, we're only going to hold Texas to 10 points. No, no, no. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to we're probably going to have to score in the 30s to win. I'd probably say. I think that's just the reality at this point. Is there any other games that I picked that I haven't talked about? Let's see. Oh, Iowa State beat West Virginia. I think they're the best team in the Big 12. I just went on a really loud rant about like 5 teams, didn't I? Goodness. Iowa State beat West Virginia. Kansas State beat Colorado. I saw this coming. As I say, I pick most Colorado games right. I've only missed one college football pick. Oh, sorry, not college football pick. That'd be crazy. I've only missed one Colorado pick, and that was a UCF game. So it was a good win for Kansas State. BYU beat Arizona. BYU and Iowa State are looking like the 2 best teams in the Big 12. Penn State USC. James Franklin was so close to pulling a James Franklin, but then Lincoln Riley decided, no, James, let me pull a Lincoln Riley. I mean, Lincoln Riley should be fired. He should be fired. He's terrible. I knew he was terrible. I said this back when he was coaching for Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl against Georgia, that he was terrible and he was overrated. He never has a defense, and he never wins big games, and he loses to teams he's not supposed to. And everyone wants to talk about, oh, look at how many Heisman Trophy winner quarterbacks he's had. Yeah, and guess how many national championships he's had with all those Heisman winning quarterbacks? 0. How many playoff wins does he have with all those quarterbacks? 0. Oh, so impressive. So impressive. It's so impressive that he can get his Heisman, his quarterback, to win an individual award in a team sport. I'm so happy for him. Because when it comes to the team sport, he sucks. Texas trounced Oklahoma. Oklahoma's terrible. Brent Venables is not the man for the job. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Iowa absolutely beat the crap out of Washington, which I didn't see them beating the crap out of Washington, but I'm assuming a lot of people were probably picking Washington because they beat Michigan, who sucks, by the way, and then they probably were like, oh, Ohio State beat the crap out of Iowa, so Iowa's not going to win. Guys, Washington beating Michigan's not impressive. Michigan is terrible. Not to mention, if you look at the record of Big Ten teams who have to travel across 2 time zones, the team who has to travel most of the time does not win. I think the team that has traveled has only won like twice this season, and one of them was Penn State beating USC. So I didn't really see Washington beating Iowa. Only got one game wrong. That was obviously Ole Miss LSU. I had picked Ole Miss to win that game, and I was really hoping I was going to get an undefeated week of pick'ems. But I am happy for LSU winning. My mom's an LSU fan, and if I wasn't a Georgia fan, I'd probably be an LSU fan. So I am happy that that LSU. I don't know where I was going there. I'm very happy that LSU won. On ESPN, I'm 44-25 in pick'ems. For this podcast, I'm 52-24. There we go with that. By the way, can I just say, in the ESPN pick'ems, I've mentioned this before. In the ESPN pick'ems, I'm in a group with my brother-in-law and my uncle. If they're listening, I would just like to say, you guys got to put up some type of a fight. I mean, come on now. I can't. I'm doing this is easy. I mean, come on. Just to put it in perspective, this upcoming weekend, if I miss every single game, and my brother-in-law who's in second, if I miss every single game, and he picks all 10 right, he would only be ahead of me by a game because I'm 9 games in the lead. I am on a pace right now. On a pace. But that's what happens when you know ball, ladies and gentlemen. Some people don't. It is what it is. It is what it is. You know, the problem when you go on such a passionate rant about 5 teams at a rapid pace, I'm sitting here and I feel like I've been talking for an hour. It's only been 25 and a half minutes. But I feel like I was going on and on and on and on and on. I'm excited for the upcoming slate. Georgia, Texas, obviously being the big one. That'll be at 7:30 at night. Oh, it's gonna be bad for my health. I already know it. It's gonna be bad for my health. I would love for Georgia to just come out and smack someone like they usually do every season. I would love that. Is it gonna happen? Who knows? I'm looking at this because I already have the 10 games I'm gonna be picking on Saturday. I'm probably not gonna go undefeated because there are some of these that are just coin toss, like Kentucky, Florida. God, first of all, if someone gave me the option, hey Grayson, you can either watch Kentucky, Florida, or scoop out your eyeballs with a spoon. I think I'm choosing the latter. Not gonna lie to you, I might choose the latter because that's gonna be ugly. Michigan, Illinois, same thing. Ugly. Not a lot of points. Uh, Nebraska, Indiana, I think it's going to be a fun one, going to be an interesting one. You know, a lot of people think it's a two team race. Oregon and Ohio State. Has everyone forgotten about the Fighting Signettis, the Fighting Hoosiers of Indiana? I really wish I had just stuck with my guns and picked them as my surprise team of the Big Ten, but I had to be saucy and choose Michigan State, which I still don't hate that pick. Just putting that out there, it still wasn't a bad pick, but it is what it is. Indiana's going to be interesting in the near future. Definitely going to be interesting. Is there any news? I'm trying to think if there are any news because I don't do like much research before I come on here. I just get on here and I start talking. You know, because I think that's the best way to get genuine reaction is just come on here and just start talking about football. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I know. Utah lost to Arizona State on Friday night last week. Cam Rising injured for I think the 100th time, and he better not come back for another year. Like, bro, just go get your finance degree and just ride off into the sunset, my guy. Just go. It's okay. It's just not for you. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Northwestern crushed Maryland, which kind of surprising, honestly. But Northwestern doing some things. Let's see. I'm going down the list. Clemson destroyed Wake Forest. Notre Dame destroyed Stanford. That checks. Boise State. By the way, I will just say it for the 1,000th time. Ashton Jeanty should be the Heisman front runner. Thank you very much. Why, by the way, I saw this on Saturday. Why was Missouri playing at UMass? Like, what world are we in right now? Pitt beat Cal by 2 points in a very Pitt versus Cal game, 17-15. That sounds about right. Illinois beat Purdue by 1 point in overtime. Goodness. That's not a good look because Purdue sucks. I was very shocked that Wisconsin annihilated Rutgers the way they did, 42-7. That was shocking. I thought Rutgers was a lot better than that, and I thought Wisconsin was a lot worse than that. Georgia Tech beat North Carolina. I knew that was going to happen. North Carolina's terrible. Terrible. If you're Georgia Tech, though, how you let North Carolina score 34? They have no offense. How are you doing that? Their offense is Amari and Hampton. Thank you very much. Army continues their road. They're still undefeated. Navy also undefeated. Shout out to the armed forces. We know we'll see how long it lasts, but I'm happy for them. Louisville beat Virginia by 4. Louisville's been disappointing this year. Cincinnati beat UCF by I can't do math. 6 points. Sorry. UCF also kind of fall from grace. They started out the season solid, and then now they've just collapsed. Let's see. Anything else? Washington State beat Fresno State. Good for them. Oh, I know. I see two games right here. Gotta talk about real quick. First of all, America's team, the Vanderbilt Commodores, beat Kentucky. 2 SEC wins in back-to-back weeks. I mean, I want to know when the last time Vanderbilt did that. I'm sure they said it during the broadcast, but I was not watching that game. But I'm happy for Vandy. I really am happy for them. I don't know who they played this week or if they're on a bye. Let me see. Oh, they play Ball State, so they're going to win again. Vanderbilt's about to be 5-2. Guys, they're going to make a bowl game. Vanderbilt's going to make a bowl game because they'll beat Ball State and be 5-2. They just need one more win. I think we can assume it won't come against Texas, but they could beat Auburn or South Carolina. They 100% could. Even 5 wins though is great for Vandy. Really great, honestly, and I'm happy for them. Let's see. Okay. In the other game, I said this in maybe I think multiple previous episodes. My first rebuild on College Football 25, the video game, was the Nevada Wolfpack. And I have now a special place in my heart for the Nevada Wolfpack. They three-peated, by the way, on their way to try to four-peat. And the real life Nevada Wolfpack beat Oregon State 42-37. So I'm very happy for them, 100%. I have a special place in my heart for Nevada, the Wolfpack. The University of Nevada at Reno, because I don't know, it's weird. When you're sitting there and you put so much effort into like a rebuild on this game for a team that's not very good, you learn the players and it just makes you have. I've honestly thought multiple times about getting some Nevada merch. What I'm saying, getting a shirt, a hat, a hoodie, something. But I haven't done it yet, but I'm still heavily considering it. But I'm very happy for the Wolfpack. I think that's where I'm going to end the episode. I'll be uploading an episode on Friday. It'll be the picks for the week. See if we can go undefeated. I'm still searching for it. I've had 2 weeks where I've gotten one pick 'em wrong. So I'm hoping I can get the undefeated one this weekend. We'll see if it can happen. Honestly, though, I feel like this podcast has made me know more ball because I'm talking about it and talking out my thoughts and my feelings. But I guess we'll see. But I'll talk to you guys on Friday. Thank you very much for listening and have a great day.